Hey, what's going on? You know who it is, and it's Bruce Jordan here, another episode of Hotel Revenue Magic. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 5 expenses hotels can cut in their hotel. You know, with everything that's going on, we got some expenses to cut, and a lot of us want to cut expenses without cutting payroll. So let's go ahead and get into these top 5 expenses you can cut to make sure you're getting the most profit out of your hotel. Expense number 1 is going to be workers' comp. You're like, what? Workers' comp? I can't cut workers' comp. You're not going to have to cut it. You're going to have to audit it. A lot of people forget that the people that write their workers' compensation policies, they work on commission. So a lot of time they will accidentally use the wrong codes when they're coding out your employees. I found that front desk managers or front desk staff was coded as maintenance and housekeeping. And those, of course, those rates are much higher. So what I usually do is I usually go in and I audit all of my workers' compensation. I'm pretty familiar with the workers' compensation, so I kind of understand a lot of the codes. It varies from each state, but if you're not familiar with workers' compensation, what you want to do is you want to probably hire an independent auditor just to review your policy and review your codes to make sure you're not being overcharged. Number 2, it's going to be cable and internet. Now listen, with cable and internet, a lot of people have everything for their whole hotel. So let's say that you're shutting down. The first thing you do is freeze your account with cable and internet. You're not going to be paying cable and internet for a bunch of rooms that you're not even open. The other side of the coin is if you're opening building by building or floor by floor, when you're open, you don't want to turn on all, let's say 100 rooms, 200 rooms, 300 rooms. You don't want to turn all of that on at one time. So what you want to do is you want to prepare yourself to cut on 30% or 50% or whatever you're forecasting to do. That's when you want to go ahead and turn on those specific rooms for that particular building. Don't turn everything back on at once, especially when you know you're not going to be at 100%. Now, number 3 is going to be payroll taxes. You're like, how do I cut payroll taxes? By getting rid of employees, but not the way you think. Don't be afraid to, especially employees that you know can float. Don't be afraid to turn some employees into 1099 employees or hire new employees on as 1099 employees, so you do not have to pay the workers' compensation and you do not have to pay the payroll taxes on it. And you're looking at me like, hold on, even if they're 1099, I still have to pay the workers' compensation, which is not necessarily true. In some states, you do have something called a worker compensation exemption form, which would make that employee exempt from having to file and pay workers' compensation tax. So that's something that you definitely want to look into. And of course, we're going to go with number 5, which is going to be copy machine lease and paper. Get rid of that copy machine, that $1,000 copy machines. Right now, you're probably making 10 copies a day. You know, it is not the way it used to be. If you could either get rid of the copy machine that you have or reduce the lease to something else, trade out for something smaller. If you're paying out $500 to $1,000 a month, trade out to something that only costs $200 to $250, or hell, only costs $150. If not, get rid of it completely and just buy a copy machine for $350 to $250 out of Office Max and Office Depot, and you can buy the ink yourself. I mean, a lot of times we pay these things because of the maintenance and because of the ink, but we don't realize that if we're not producing the value and we're not producing the revenue, percentages for our expenses are just increasing. So that makes no sense whatsoever. So let's get rid of that copy machine and start texting. Whatever you need, you can email it or text it. And go ahead and check out textguest.com so you can go ahead and figure out how you can text. And right now, you try it out the free demo. And number 5 is going to be housekeeping supplies. Now, depending on what type of hotel you are, your amenities may be costing you a fortune. It may be time to downgrade to something a little more easy and cheaper. It's like there's certain things that you can kind of get away with, like toilet tissue. By the way, the rule is if the supplier does not have an item available, you are allowed to use someone else, especially if you're a franchise. Don't be scared to do that. You got to order supplies. You need to get your supplies. So 1, see if you can go ahead and get the supplies that you need. Go ahead and downgrade the quality a little bit. Nobody needs a $5 roll of toilet tissue. Okay, you know, you're gonna get all types of craziness. Go ahead and downgrade some of the things that you probably know you can downgrade, whether it be soap or laundry detergent or things of that nature. It may be time to switch out a new supplier. It may be time to, get away from someone else and bring someone new in that can go ahead and get you a better price. Again, thank you for tuning into another episode of Hotel Revenue Magic. And you know what we do here, we always make your revenues rise up once again.